Hi friends, welcome back to Clover Rosie Art. Today I am doing a 3-marker challenge. I have all of my Tombow markers in this box and I'm just randomly going to reach in and select 3 to color in this drawing that I did. My first one is this dark pink almost red color that is number 755. My second marker is this light blue color that is number 451. And my third marker is another blue which is 452. I think that these 3 markers go very well together. At first I wasn't thrilled to have 2 blue markers for this challenge, but the more I thought about it, the more I had ideas on how to make the 2 blues work together. The character that I designed for this challenge is this modern elf girl. I've always liked elves, but I haven't seen many modern-looking ones since most elves live in medieval times. I imagine she lives in a fantasy equivalent to our modern-day world. The modern touches mostly show in her clothing more than anywhere else in the drawing. The first marker I chose to go in with was this dark pink color. This color is basically my accent color for the drawing, so I colored her tank top, her lips, and the flower headband in her hair with it. I really like the flower headband on her because it combines a modern accessory with nature, which is really what this character embodies. I imagine that the flowers on the headband are probably real flowers, since she is still an elf after all. I knew that I would use the dark pink marker again later, since I did only have 3 markers to use, but for the moment I set it to the side and went in with the lighter of the 2 blues. I began to color in her hair with the light blue marker. These colors really are not normal elven colors, but I really like them all the same. Normally I would color elves with more neutral colors like greens and browns and possibly some like pink for flowers or something. If you look at this girl, she has none of those colors whatsoever. But that's the good thing about art challenges like this 3-marker challenge. It really helps you change up from your normal drawing habits and try something a little more adventurous. Because of that, I highly recommend trying this challenge out yourself one time. Something that I heard of that is even harder than a 3-marker challenge is a 1-marker challenge. Maybe I'll have to try it out one time, but I'm a little nervous because it will be really hard to color in a drawing and make it look good with only 1 marker. I guess that's all the more reason to do it though. Also, I won't have to be nervous that the colors will clash for that drawing like I was when I was choosing for the 3-marker challenge. This elf girl is really breaking out of all elven cultural norms. One normal elven thing that she still has is her long flowing hair, although I don't think I've ever seen elves with the bun before. And she also has elf ears, but really that is one of the things that make her an elf, so I don't think it counts. As I kept on coloring, I realized that her hair was sort of starting to remind me of cotton candy. I don't think that's a good or a bad thing, it's just a realization. Anyway, since she has a lot of hair, it took a little while to color it all. I left a section at the bottom of the hair blank for an idea that I will implement in a little bit. In the middle of coloring, a name idea popped into my mind, Iris. I think this name suits her because it's not a traditional sounding elf name, but it's a type of flower, so it fits. Now I'm very glad that Clover didn't choose the name Rissa for my fairy in my last video, or my rats helped me design a new original character. Iris and Rissa sound way too similar. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to check it out. You'll get to meet my 2 adorable pet rats, Clover and Rosie. They were actually the inspiration for my channel name. If you already watched the video, you probably have guessed that's where my channel name came from by now. Also, I looked up if there are iris flowers that are pink, and there are. So maybe the flower petals falling behind her and the flowers on her headband are iris flowers. That would be very fitting. Anyway, after I finished coloring in her hair and shirt with the light blue marker, I went in with the slightly darker cerulean blue marker and began to color in the ends of her hair. Having the tips of her hair a different color is definitely more of a modern thing. I've never had colored tips myself, but I've seen a ton of people who have. At first I wasn't thrilled that I picked 2 blue markers, but as I began to color in the tips of her hair, I began to see how beneficial it was to the drawing. Since the tips were a different blue, it made her hair look more cohesive and gradient than if it was a totally different color like a bright lime green or something. I also colored part of her eyebrows the darker blue too. I know it's an interesting choice and brings up a few questions about her natural hair color, but I like how they turned out. Then I began to color the top flowy part of her shirt. I'm not exactly sure what the official term of it is, but you guys know what I mean. I don't think I've ever owned a shirt like that, but I really like the style of it. This is another time that I was glad to have 2 blues, since I think they go quite well together on her shirt too. To add a little more detail to the shirt, I added crisscrosses to the light blue underneath of the flowy part. I like the shading that it adds. After that, I just went back up quickly to her hair and colored in the parts of her headband that weren't flowers. I wanted to color her eyes the dark pink, but I was scared that they would look too red and evil, so I hesitated. I ended up coloring them that color, and luckily they didn't look evil like I feared. I know pink's a very interesting eye color, when I could have gone with a more normal color and used either of the two blues, but I like how much they stand out and how unique they look. I don't know if I've seen any other drawings with pink eyes, and I've definitely never seen any real-life people with pink eyes. After I finished the eyes, I colored in her choker with the dark pink. I liked the style of her choker a lot. I guess I'm really just in love with her whole outfit. I mean, it's good that I like her outfit since I was the one who drew it. Anyway, after I finished coloring her eyes and choker with the dark pink, I began to color in the iris flower petals that were falling behind her. I can just imagine her standing in the meadow and a gust of wind blows in and flower petals just swirl around her in the typical fantasy fashion. Her hair's not blowing though, which would be a little strange. Well, I guess it's just magic. I feel like nature is always attracted to elves. Coloring all the flower petals took a little while, but I love how the dark pink in the drawing just pops. I think it helps that the other two colors are cool colors, well that's the only warm color. Without it, she would just look like an ice elf, or if not that, a very, very, very cold elf, especially with her white skin. It's always hard to have a limited color palette, but I think I really made it work great in this drawing. Or it could have just been the luck of the draw. After I finished coloring in the petals, I just went back into the drawing and did a few touch-ups in a few different places, just to make sure everything was colored in. Then I colored the center of the flowers on her headband with the light blue. I don't really think you can see the difference all that well though. Since I didn't want to make her skin any crazy colors, I was planning on just keeping it white. Then I had the idea to shade the skin with the light blue since it was so light and could show where the shadows fell on her. I shaded her ears, under her neck, her shoulders, her choker, her arms, and more, including her freckles. I also shaded her hand too. I think I may have drawn her hand a little too small, but hands have always been hard for me, so I think it looked pretty good. I also like how I try to place her hand in a different position in this drawing instead of just by her sides like I normally do. I shaded her nose, and at first I didn't like how it looked, because I thought it looked too much like her nose was actually blue, and like she had frostbite or something. I think I'm getting a little more used to it now though. After I finished the nose, I shaded under her hair, and then I did a few more touch-ups to the jawline. I still wanted to add a little more to the drawing. I thought about what to do for a few moments before I came up with an idea. With the darker colored blue, I added some squiggly streaks to her light blue hair to add more dimension and show that there are strands of hair there. That's another good part about picking two different blues. If I had some completely different color, I wouldn't be able to do that. I quite liked how it turned out. You may have thought that I'm finished, but if you did, you would be mistaken. First, I wanted to add a little more to the background. I wasn't planning on coloring in the whole background or anything like that. What I did want to do is add light blue diagonal lines behind Iris and the flower petals. Hey, Iris and the Flower Petals sounds like it could be a name of a band and reminds me of a show I love called Julie and the Phantoms. Have any of you guys ever watched that show? If you haven't, you should really go check it out. Anyway, I tried to space the light blue lines out as equally as I possibly could, and I think I did well on that. After I finished drawing the diagonal lines going the one way, I decided to also draw diagonal lines crisscrossing going the other way in a sort of checkerboard style. To add some of the darker blue to the background, I added a dot of it in whatever spots that the crisscrossing lines met. It sort of reminds me of that optical illusion with white lines on black, and when you look where they cross, it looks like there's gray dots. I like how all three of the colors are now included in the background. And now we are reaching the end of my 3-marker challenge. I really enjoyed the process, and I love how it turned out. I hope you guys do too. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. I upload Wednesdays and Saturdays, and comment below if you've ever tried a 3-marker challenge before. Thanks for watching, and keep being creative.